watching KWQC TV, making a difference in the Quad Cities. Live from the Quad Cities, with Morgan Otier and Kyle Keel, this is Quad Cities Live.
Thank you for joining us for Quad Cities Live. I'm William Ingles in for Morgan. During this week before the Christmas holiday, we're highlighting the important work of our area nonprofits. And the Quad Cities Cultural Trust is an organization that aggregates grant money to disseminate to groups that are maximizing the cultural experience in the Quad Cities. And joining me now is Jen Lewis Schneider, the Executive Director of the Quad Cities Cultural Trust. And Jen, this is such a cool thing that maybe not everyone knows about. What's the mission of the trust in our community?
It is a cool thing. The Quad Cities Cultural Trust has actually been around for nearly 2 decades. We aspire to be known as the leader enriching art and culture for all.
And you mentioned almost 20 years. How has this mission kind of developed over all this time?
Yeah, I mean, 20 years ago, it was about sustaining art and culture, keeping the organizations that we fund alive, you know, keeping the doors open. Fast forward 20 years, it's about fostering collaboration, avoiding duplication, and creating a true destination for the Quad Cities.
So how do you guys kind of build up that money, and then kind of have that to give out to all of our partners here?
We're also unique in that realm. You know, I have searched the entire country for institutions like ours. The Cultural Trust was privately started with private funds from the private sector, privately maintained, and then in 2018 we invited the public to join us in that campaign, but still privately funded. There's no state or federal funding or grants that goes in to make us a over $40 million organization.
And really the power of the trust is through the partners you guys have. We're going to be hearing a lot about those partners, but what can you tell us a little bit about them briefly?
They're deeply rooted in our community. You know, it's rare also to see an institution that has said to 6 organizations, we are forever committed to your success, and so we will forever fund you. And that's what the Cultural Trust has done. 20 years ago, they deemed 6 institutions deeply rooted in this region, meaning that they were paramount to our success, to our growth. And by transitive property, by funding them, we were funding smaller organizations as well.
And how did they go through that grant process? Because obviously everyone wants to get in line for money when they have a chance. How do they kind of go through that process to get that money in hand? Yeah,
our process is unique too. We've got 6 institutions and they know that they're forever getting funding. So the name of the game is, how are you stronger this year than the past year? How is your programmatic scope deeper in impressions or in service numbers? You're really competing against yourself, and we audit essentially the return on that investment. For every dollar that we invested last year into each amenity, what was the ROI on that investment, and how do we need to change it to make sure we're maximizing on those?
Right, and what are a couple examples of what you guys have done where you've seen that money really pay dividends for our community?
So we give unrestricted grants to these legacy partners, to our legacy partners, and that means that they can spend it on whatever they want to. Utilities, people, an innovative idea. You know, they get to choose what they invest in. So what we believe we do is provide the freedom for that innovation and that growth. You know, you look at the Putnam Museum. Just a decade ago, they unveiled a 10,000 square foot science center. You look at the Botanical Center, their growth in the children's garden and what they aspire to do in the future. That happens with unrestricted funds. So that's what I believe the Cultural Trust is, you know, doing in the region by unrestricted funding to these amenities.
And one really cool thing when I got to talk to a number of them is not just what happens inside those buildings. This money also helps them do things outside those buildings. And I think that's a really cool thing of the outreach that this money helps provide.
Yeah, I mean, not only do you have an actual destination that whether you're a Quad citizen or a tourist, you can visit, but, you know, we're going into the school systems. And, you know, when you have a special to look forward to, you want to attend school more. So we know that it's improving academia in the Quad Cities. We have a plant bus that's literally driving around the Quad Cities, teaching students about horticulture. You know, I mean, those things are very unique to the Quad Cities. Not every region has them.
Yeah, definitely. We talked some about those partners. We're going to be learning a lot more about them because the QC Cultural Trust, they had a very special event earlier this month at the Botanical Center. It's called Winter Lights Cultural Bright. I got to go there. It was really cool where we got to learn about each of the makeup of the Quad City Cultural Trust and all of those partners we were talking about. Let's take a closer look now at the Quad City Botanical Center.
Our mission is to bring people and plants together in fun and meaningful ways. We do that in a variety of ways throughout the year. most importantly is our impact on school youth. Last year we saw about 30,000 kids come through our building, or we went to them with our Plant Discovery Bus, and really that's our biggest thing here, is introducing people to nature and teaching them about the world that surrounds them. The environment is obviously vital to our everyday lives, and young people and old need to understand the connection that we have to that on an everyday basis. We're looking forward to our Plant Discovery Bus right now. That's something we launched just this summer. Got a taste of it this fall. We've reached over 5,000 kids in just 3 short months. That's going to be what takes us off site here, because not everybody can get here and get us out in the community to give kids a taste of our mission. One of the first places we went was Washington Junior High here in Rock Island. And I remember when I was a kid, there was a space bus. It was an old school bus that was shaped like a space shuttle. And I can remember the feeling I had when we pulled around that corner. The kids came out of the building to see what we were there to offer. Their faces were that of excitement, which isn't something you always see in a junior high student, so we were very proud of that. The Quad Cities Cultural Trust is absolutely vital to our mission, providing unrestricted dollars to us on an annual basis into perpetuity forever. We go to them when we need advice as well. So not only are they a funding body for us, they also offer us, coaching and nonprofit excellence type stuff as well. As we've grown as an organization, they've always been there whenever we've needed them. And, of course, there's always ups and downs in an organization. They've always supported us in any way that we need. Just a few years ago, when I was hired as director, we embarked on a strategic plan with the assistance of the Cultural Trust, and it kind of springboarded us into where we are today, which is a very high time in our existence here. We take very seriously the responsibility to be here as sort of a tourism driver, an economic driver. We turn around millions of dollars of impact to the local economy on an annual basis just by people coming through our door, shopping the businesses here down the street, across the river, whatever the case might be. So we just celebrated our 25-year anniversary. We're planning as an organization to make sure we're here for the next 25, which will result in some wonderful changes here around the center with our programming, the way we operate the facility, and we can't wait to see what the next 25 years brings.
A lot of cool things going on there. And coming up on Quad Cities Live, a closer look at another partner organization, the Quad City Symphony Orchestra. Stay with us.
You're watching Quad Cities Live.
Our next QC Cultural Trust partner is the Quad City Symphony Orchestra, which is one of the country's longest continuously operating orchestras. Take a look.
We are an organization focused on music, and music that brings the community together. So we deliver concerts with our professional orchestra, the Quad City Symphony. We also deliver a tremendous array of education programs. We have our Quad City Symphony Youth Ensembles, which includes more than 250 students from across the Quad Cities and beyond. We also have a huge private lesson program with more than 270 students, and we're doing stuff in the community all over the place. So yeah, we've got concerts and music for everyone. It's not just classical, which you would maybe expect, which is our core, but we also have a huge Pops concert in the summer on the river. We do live film concerts where we play the score and the film is projected at the Adler Theater. So it's a ton of stuff that's going on. One of the things we offer with all of our lesson program and our youth ensembles is we're able to offer financial aid for students who need it. So anyone can participate, no matter what their financial or family circumstance is. So for me, it's always at the concerts. So like our youth ensemble concerts, when I get to see all the students who are able to participate, it's like unbelievable. And it's sort of like you're there, you're experiencing what they're able to put on that stage, to perform, what it sounds like, what it means to be a part of something that's larger than the sum of its parts. Is really special, and you don't get that in any other way other than a live performance, and for us, live music, live orchestra. And I feel that way with our professional orchestra too, when you see all the folks in the audience and you see it come together and you see people really having a special moment together. That's where you're like, okay, all the work we've done all year long, all the background stuff, all the business of the orchestra to make it run, all the work to make sure funding comes in and to work with Quad Cities Cultural Trust is really meaningful. On our concert weeks, our musicians are out in the schools all over the community. So both sides of the river, all the different districts, And those are offered to the schools for free. So our musicians are going out there, and the support from the Trust helps to support us sending our musicians out and doing all of these presentations, these lessons, master classes, all kinds of things with students in the schools. So that's just one example of how things are made more accessible. We also have other programs as far as delivering free tickets to people in the community. We have a program called Concert Access Pass, where we partner with all kinds of different social service agencies and kind of basic needs type nonprofits, where we connect with folks who are being served by those and in whatever way to also provide them with the opportunity for live music. So there's a tremendous array of things that the Quad Cities Cultural Trust helps us as the Quad Cities Symphony to do to make sure we're as accessible as possible. And in fact, I'll say our vision, the Symphony's vision, is to be where access meets inspiration. So we're always trying to be as accessible as possible. You can't have a well-rounded education, like K through 12 education, without opportunities in music. You really can't. Music is the only thing that we know of that touches every part of the brain. So whether you're listening to music or whether you're practicing an instrument or performing or singing or whatever it is, all these studies have shown that, like, when they do brain studies, every part of your brain is activated in some way. Nothing else does that. So what that means for the students is not necessarily like, oh, we want to make sure that you become a professional musician. That's not the case. That's wonderful if that happens. But what it means is we want you to be successful in whatever you do. So your opportunities in music help you in your other classes. They help you with your English class, your math, your test scores, all of those things that are really important. So what I see over and over and over again from folks is I was really successful because of my music. And today, after going through college and everything, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher, whatever your profession. I think it's critical that you have that opportunity in music, and that's what we're trying to provide. With cultural leadership, what that's all about is having a really big vision for our programs and connecting those programs with our community and with whatever's happening in the community. So like every one of our concerts, we're trying to connect it with different community partners, like I'll take one example, the Figge Art Museum, another partner with the Cultural Trust. We are often pairing our programming with one of their major exhibitions that's coming through, so that people kind of see the synergies, the cross-pollinations, and yeah, so there's just there's so much going on in our community, and I am not from the Quad Cities, and I've not seen another community whose nonprofits interact and collaborate quite as well and as intentionally as I've seen here. So I've been really impressed by that, and we're definitely a part of that, and that's really what we're talking about when we talk about cultural leadership.
Well, still to come on QCL, the impact of the QC Cultural Trust on the Figge Art Museum.
You're watching Quad Cities Live.
The mission of the Figge Art Museum is bringing art and people together. And today we're learning more about the ways the Quad Cities Cultural Trust is aiding in that mission.
Our mission at the Figge is very simple. We bring art and people together. We do that in a number of different ways. It really becomes whatever you want it to be. So art is in our daily lives. Art is something that people are surrounded by. Maybe it comes in the form of a drawing that you or somebody in your family has made and pinned to the refrigerator, or maybe it's you looking through a book that's been illustrated, seeing a billboard that's being designed as you're driving from point A to point B. At the Figge, what we want to do is provide an opportunity to share what different artists have done over the years in a way that you can hopefully create some personal meaning, a relationship with that piece. You can be inspired by it. Maybe you love it, maybe you absolutely don't love it, but art elicits an emotion, and we want to explore that and then hopefully give people an opportunity to really build these tools that they can take into their daily lives outside of the museum. So we do all of that, but we also have a lot of fun. For the past almost 2 decades, the Cultural Trust has been integral to how the museum, how the Figge Art Museum has been able to not only survive but thrive. So in the beginning, it developed out of this relationship around funding, but it has grown to be something so much more. What is very special about the funding that has helped us get to this point today in 2024 and ready to launch beyond is that it supports operations. So these are unrestricted funds that allow us to do the work that we need to do in order to serve the programs to the community that we would like to serve. Now, what is cool about us moving forward with the Trust, what I think is a new energy that's really been growing in the past few years, is that the Quad Cities Cultural Trust is interested in having a partnership that's much deeper than that. And what I mean by that is we work together from the beginning to think about transformative experiences around culture that can really help people not only get to know the legacy partners better, but also understand the role that culture plays in their daily lives. For us, of course, it's important to think about visual arts, but we really consider creativity to come in many forms. And so we love collaborating with the legacy partners and with the Cultural Trust to make sure that everybody in the Quad Cities and the immediate region has access to that. So specifically for us, as we celebrate our 20th year in the building and our 100th anniversary of the Collections Foundation, we're going to be working with the Cultural Trust around some exciting initiatives for the centennial celebration. One of them, the biggest one that some people may have heard of, but others may not have, is that we're going to be flipping the switch on a light sculpture, the largest public light sculpture in Iowa, and actually the largest public light sculpture out of many states. This is the light sculpture by artist Leo Villarreal. He is world renowned for the work that he does. He's going to be putting fixtures and coating them so that they are illuminating the entire Figge facade. And this is a piece that we're going to be celebrating and turning on with the public later in the year. The Cultural Trust is going to be a big part of that celebration. So I can't say more than that at this moment, but we're all very excited to be collaborating around this. So our local artists are amazing, and we love to celebrate their talent and creativity at every level. We have an entire gallery dedicated to the community. It's called the Mary Waterman Gildahouse Community Gallery, and we make sure that we're looking at all of that talent and creativity from a very young age all the way up to adulthood. For example, coming up soon, we'll have a series of young artist exhibitions where every school district in the immediate region picks the best pieces that represent the creativity happening in their classrooms for K through 5 students. We put them on view, we celebrate these young artists, and then we move on to the next district. So it's a very energized, exciting time. We also are getting ready to open up the College Invitational. These are regional college students who are putting all of their passion into these works, and they've been identified by their professors as being the best examples of the creativity happening there. Now, in terms of other artists, especially professional artists in the area, we like to work in tandem with Quad City Arts, one of our legacy partners with the Cultural Trust, to make sure we're differentiating. Quad City Arts really supports growing and launching as well as continuing the sustainability of these artists' practices. At the Figge, we like to support that by also working with artists, especially those who have worked with Quad City Arts, to showcase what they're doing. At the Figge, we believe that art transforms lives, and we want to make sure that we're taking away any barriers that exist for people to be able to have access to that. So we do offer a number of classes and programs that are free to the public. Every second Saturday of the month, we are free all day long. We have complimentary snacks. We have a lot of really cool initiatives that are happening in the galleries. So we hope people come out and check that out. Those are our second Saturdays, easy enough to remember, and this is going to be going on for as long as we foresee. So it's something we're going to be able to really count on offering. Another thing is our outreach to the schools. So we send educators out to the schools so that they can work with the art teachers or whatever the curriculum area is to show students that art is in all things. So if you're studying social studies and you're talking about ancient Egypt, we're going in and bringing in ratios and figure drawing and personal identity, thinking about twisted perspective, all of these things that maybe students have seen in their textbook as an illustration but haven't considered as they've been making art themselves. So outreach is really important to us. It's the way that the Cultural Trust partners with us. Again, going back to the support that comes in many forms. So at the base level, they are providing funding and saying, we trust the Figge to know how to use these funds. That allows us to grow our staff so that we can send our staff members out to community schools at no cost to the public. That allows us to make sure that we are expanding what we're offering in the galleries, even if it's not specifically program-based. Those programmatic dollars, those restricted funds that we get are so important, but what really allows allows us to utilize them is that foundation that the Cultural Trust has provided for us. So I think that that's one way. And then there are other things that the Cultural Trust does, like this Culture Bright campaign that we're celebrating. The Figge has been a part of that. We're so grateful to participate in that. Also, they were very supportive of other programs we've done. Recently, Tricks and Treats, which was a phenomenal program at the museum. I hope everybody comes to that next year. They allowed us to take this event to the next level, offer for free to the public an experience that cannot be duplicated anywhere else. So we're very grateful for that.
Coming up in our next half hour of QCL, Common Chord and the ways the QC Cultural Trust is expanding the outreach of this important local organization. And later, learn more about the Putnam Museum and Science Center, inspiring our diverse Quad Cities community for more than 150 years. But first, today marks the start of a stretch of cooler weather. Teresa Bryant has your full forecast. That's next.
And now your first alert forecast with Teresa Bryant.
And we will continue to see some scattered clouds, even a little bit of sunshine here and there through the rest of this afternoon. This will be followed by more cloud cover overnight as we head into Thursday, setting us up for our next system, bringing a wintry mix or even some light snow to parts of our viewing area. We will also see that cold air continue as we head through the weekend before a little warm-up takes place for Christmas week. Right now, we're looking at some sunshine, as you can see. A lot of cloud cover out there as well. 33 degrees in the Quad Cities area. Temperature of 28 now in Dubuque and Galena, 29 in Savannah, 30 degrees in Rock Falls, 32 in Muscatine, Washington and Mount Pleasant, 33 degrees in Galesburg, 34 in Burlington, 35 in Macomb. And again, winds still moving out of the northwest at about 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts of up to 25 miles per hour plus. That gives us a little bit of a wind chill, especially in the northern counties, feeling like 17 degrees in Dubuque, Galena, Clinton, and Maquoketa, feeling like 23 degrees in Moline. A lot of cloud cover still out there, and that's expected to continue across our region. Even though we will see brief clearing through this evening, more clouds building in during the overnight hours, setting us up for that Clipper-type system sweeping through the region, bringing some light snow to some of the northern portions of our viewing area tomorrow afternoon. And even a little bit of a wintry mix not out of the question as we head through the evening and into the overnight hours. Most of that out of here in fairly short order. Our snowfall forecast calling for, at best, we're talking a dusting for most locations. Temperatures for this evening dropping down to 23 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Highs back in the 30s, 33 in Stockton, 39 degrees in Tipton. We'll see a reading of 38 degrees in Muscatine, 42 in Monmouth, and the Quad Cities looking for a reading of 36 degrees. Partly sunny, light snow or wintry mix late in the day. And temperatures are going to stay in the 20s and 30s over the course of the next several days before warming up into the 40s by Monday.
Common Chord, formerly known as the River Music Experience, creates a vibrant and welcoming community through music. And the QC Cultural Trust helps build on the history of music in the region while supporting aspiring musicians.
Common Chord is a nonprofit music organization. We run a lot of concert programs. We operate the Redstone Room music venue in downtown Davenport. We do a lot of free concert series throughout the summer in parks and along the riverfront. And another huge part of our work is education programs. So we're in schools and after-school programs all year long and camps over summer and winter break as well. There are as many different ways to enjoy music as there are people in the world. And part of our job at Common Chord is to make music accessible to everybody. Sometimes that means financially, so we do free concerts, we do free education programs, but it goes beyond financial access. Maybe it's geographical access, you know, maybe somebody doesn't have a car and it's easy to get around, so we can do more programming out there in communities and neighborhoods. Sometimes it's cultural access. Maybe you don't feel welcome in a certain space because you feel like you're not among the in crowd, or you don't look like the rest of the folks in that room. So we try to create opportunities for everybody to feel welcome no matter what, because everybody loves music in their own way. Music is important to us all. We all learned our ABCs to a song. You get married, you have a first dance. Music helps create those moments in our lives that everybody deserves to have. The Cultural Trust has made a huge difference for Common Chord, to the extent that we might not exist today if the Cultural Trust wasn't a strong partner of ours. The fact that they award unrestricted funding to our organization to fulfill our mission is huge. Most funders place a lot of restrictions on funds. They may be dedicated to only a certain program or only a certain use. But the Cultural Trust trusts our mission, trusts what we do, and trusts that each of the legacy partners is the expert in our field. So it's allowed us to do 10 times, 100 times what we could have done on our own. A perfect example of how the Trust's funding is so important is when we think about the ways we can reach the community and have greater impact, a lot of times the idea comes before the how. So we have an idea of something that we think is really important, we think it could work, but it's new, it's untested, it's maybe innovative and a great idea, but there's no proof yet. But the Cultural Trust funding is there whether there's proof yet or not, because they know the possibilities that exist and they believe in the mission. So having the chance to go out on a limb, try something new, thanks to the stability that the Trust gives us, that's made all the difference, and it's led to a lot of great new programs for us in the past couple years as well. Specifically our In Tune music mentoring program. It's an unusual program in that we aren't directly teaching music, but we're spending a lot of time with kids in after school and school programs throughout the Quad Cities, employing professional musicians to be mentors, to be friends to kids that may need extra support network in their lives. And that is not something as a traditional music program that got a lot of attention at the beginning. But since we were able to take the risk, try it out, it's gathered a lot of other support as well beyond the Trust support. The partnership goes way beyond a funding relationship. It's a key part of it, but they've gone above and beyond to be a true partner, to be a convener, to draw organizations together and create that special little spark that leads to something greater, and not just writing the check every year.
Well, up next on QCL, highlighting another partner within the Quad Cities Cultural Trust, the Putnam Museum and Science Center. Stay with us.
You're watching Quad Cities Live.
Our next QC Cultural Trust partner has been inspiring the community for more than 150 years with exploration, experimentation, and fun. History, science, and culture come alive at the Putnam.
Putnam Museum exists to preserve, educate, and connect people with science, with history, and with culture. So those are the three areas that we work with. That's a key part of what we do. We have a 250,000 artifact collection, and so at any given time you can see things that come from 1867 all the way to things that maybe were at the festival here tonight might actually be within our collection, and things that are on exhibit. We do have in process right now, we are building a vault, and the vault is going to be very, very fun, and it's a really cool experience because people will be able to see pieces of those artifacts out in storage. So it's a glass enclosed storage area, so we're very excited about that. We have things that go all the way back to one of the original treaties from 1832, when we actually had the treaty with the Sioux and the Fox to get the whole region. So that exists here in the community. You know, there are things that we have put away about the pandemic so that future generations can see what's going on and what happened during that pandemic. You know, the Putnam was open during the Spanish flu, and one of the things that we did when the pandemic came out is went back and looked through our collection to kind of see what was there. And one of the things that they didn't keep much from it, because everybody's like, well, do we really want to remember this time? Well, yeah, we do. And so I think that's one of the key things, is making sure that people can see, you know, where we've come from, what innovations have happened, and where we're going to with the far back history and also the more recent history. The Quad City Cultural Trust is one of the key partners that the Putnam Museum and Science Center has. We work with them very, very closely. They're an important partner for us in a couple of ways. One, not only just for the funding that they provide to us, which is extremely appreciated. But also they're supporting our Putnam Reimagines campaign, so they are sponsoring no cost admission to the museum all the way through January 5th of 2025. They're sponsoring and helping all of the areas that we have right now in terms of holiday festivities. So they'll be an important part of the Putnam's Polar PJ, which is coming up December 19th through the 22nd. And just all of the different activities that we do, they are there, they're supportive, and they bring a lot of, just a lot of value to what we're doing. The numbers are showing already, you know, we're looking at this year compared to last year, and we have more than double the number of people coming to the museum in that same time frame already, you know, and we really haven't hit the holiday season where people have a little more free time to be able to do that. And so having the opportunity to bring them to the museum, and right now the Putnam's under construction because we are doing our Reimagined, and so it's great to have them be sponsoring it so people can come in and see, hey, here's where we are, here's what we're doing, you know, see what's coming next, and be able to be a part of that while it's in play versus having to wait till the end and not be able to give their opinion on it. So the Quad City Cultural Trust was put together by local entities to really support these legacy organizations in unrestricted ways. And that type of unrestricted funding for organizations like the Putnam, you know, the Figge, Common Chord, the Symphony, allow you to do so many of those education pieces that you may not be able to get funding for in other ways. So if you look back to, you know, the Quad City Cultural Trust has been extremely important for us. We just opened a Quad City Innovators Gallery, and a huge amount of that has been education opportunities for kids who are, you know, in first grade through sixth grade to be able to do explorer camps and then be able to use that gallery to be thinking about innovation. You know, tonight we're building catapults and we're making snow, and, you know, so historically that type of programming, those are things that we can do for the community because of the support of places like the Quad City Cultural Trust. So I'm relatively new to the area and to the partnership with the Quad City Cultural Trust. So from my standpoint, this has been a phenomenal introduction to the community and to things that we can be doing in the future. You know, we're working with the Trust on our Putnam Reimagined launch, where they're sponsoring the admission all the way through, but also they're working with us to provide support for a gala that we'll be having in February, and we're working on a community kind of launch of our whole new museum areas in May. And so they've already started talking with us about that. We've already laid out some plans. The Trust has supported us in launching this holiday season JP Polar Bear, which is a mascot that is new to the museum, and will be at our pajama party, and will be able to be at a lot of the community events that we're doing with the Trust in the new year. One of the neatest things from my standpoint to hear when people come to the Putnam Museum is, wow, this is an amazing place. I didn't realize that we had all these resources and all of this available right here. And one of my favorite things I hope to hear people say is, I can't wait to come back again and see some more.
Well, coming up, putting the spotlight on Quad City Arts, which has seen some exciting updates and new initiatives over the past year.
You're watching Quad Cities Live.
Well, founded back in 1970, Quad City Arts is responsible for bringing us inspiring programs like Visiting Artist Series and events like the Festival of Trees. Let's take a closer look at the organization as they embark on another year of outreach.
Quad City Arts does a lot of things. We are a hub for artists. We try to be a resource center for not only financially for artists, but we provide a gallery space for artists to show their work. We have different events throughout the year, such as Chalk Art Fest and Riversance, where artists can showcase their wares or showcase their creativity, especially at Chalk Art Fest. And then we are also always looking for new programming. So we're trying to get feedback from the community about other programs they'd like to see that we should develop. Things that can make the creative people in our community more successful is what we're trying to do. At this point, we are a very lean machine. There is only 9 employees currently, and we operate all of our programs, all of Festival of Trees, with that small little team. So I'm really hoping that we will grow Quad City Arts in the year to come, in the years to come. I'm hoping to expand staff. I would love to branch out and have artist studios, more spaces where we can either rent out to artists or provide free space for creating or workshops, that sort of thing. Our biggest way that we reach out to the young people of our community is through our Visiting Artists series. So we look for international artists, puppeteers, theater people, storytelling, musicians, dancers, all type of artists, and then we bring those artists into the elementary schools so that kids can see, hey, you can actually make a career out of this. This is a reasonable thing to think that you can do. You can grow up and do these things. And then as kids get older, we have the Metro Arts program that we do, so kids can firsthand apprentice a muralist, and they go out into the community and they create these incredible murals themselves. They're the ones out there painting. They're the ones also that are getting paid. So we're reinforcing this messaging that art is work and that it is worthy of payment. The Quad City Cultural Trust is a huge supporter of what we do, not only financially, but they understand our mission. They help us get our messaging out to the community, and they've also been planning all of these great events that bring a lot of the nonprofits together. So we're really building a stronger network through the Cultural Trust. Without the trust, it would be much more difficult. We would have to spend a lot more time and a lot more staff purely searching for grant money, purely doing outreach to the community for donors and sponsorships. And when we have a little bit of wiggle room with the trust money, when we have just a little bit of freedom where we can take a second and breathe and think about what should we be doing, not just what can we do right now, but what could we be doing in the future, that really helps us move forward. If you have a vibrant community of people who feel empowered to express themselves, I believe art is a form of communication. So there's a lot of things that maybe we can't communicate in words very well, but that is a great opportunity for art to step in to be that communicator, and communication is key. And so to have a thriving community, if you have people who feel empowered to express themselves fully, to communicate with each other fully, then you have a community that understands each other better.
And Cultural Trust Executive Director Jen Lewis Schneider is back with us now. We've talked so much over the past hour about the resources we have, but let's talk about the future, because the future is really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, 24 was a banner year. I can't imagine what 25 will be like at the end, but we know that we have more programming coming from each of our institutions. We know that you're going to see more collaboration in 2025, and we know that the Cultural Trust is bringing John Lithgow to talk about the importance of art and culture in 2025.
And talk to me a little bit about the growing list of partner organizations you guys have.
So, you know, we have 6 legacy partners. We call them that because we chose to fund them forever, which means that as they grow, our expansion grows. Along with our traditional funding lane, we also have the Adler Theater Fund. That's where we see growth in our recipients. Anyone who's interested, any nonprofit that's interested in having programming at the Adler has the ability to annually apply for funds to us, and we've seen things like Hip Hop Nutcracker because of it, an all-state choir competition. So we're excited to continue to grow that list.
And, you know, speaking of growth, you know, over years, more partners, this fund gets a little bit bigger, and that gives you guys a little bit of a bigger purse to be able to hand out to these partner organizations. I imagine that's been something really exciting for you over the past few years.
Unrestricted dollars are important. Growing unrestricted dollars are powerful. They allow us to stay competitive with Des Moines and Chicago when someone's looking to relocate. They allow us to stay competitive educationally so that we can put more programming into the school system, because we know that the data follows. The more art and culture, the better return on investment you have in your region.
Now, a lot of nonprofits, it's always asking people like, hey, anything you can spare is great, especially, the holidays, the giving season. You take a little bit of a different take on that, because I think what you're asking is for people to actually take advantage of the money you guys spend.
Yeah, I mean, for 2 decades, we've invested $20 million into these institutions. They are open for business. They want to see you. We want you to see them. So we are asking every Quad citizen to consider the same 2025 resolution, and that is more. The year of more art and culture. Go take those leisure dollars and visit our amenities. Go to the festivals in town, and then give us your feedback. What's working and what isn't, so we can continue to develop relevant programming that works for our region.
Guess what? The holiday season's a perfect time to do that. A lot of people coming into a little bit of time off. And let's look to your website now to learn more about ways to get involved with the Cultural Trust. You can visit them at qcct.org. Jen, thank you so much for joining us today, and hopefully people are seeing you out at all these awesome resources that we have. The Putnam, I think, has a free admission for a while because of the trust, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a great resource to have, and really just another great way to welcome in the holiday season.
Yeah, well, thank you for the opportunity. And if you're around this weekend, Polar Express kicks off at the Putnam Pier.
Perfect. Great way to do that. Your News at 4 with Sharon DeRique is next.